Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Ooh, good afternoon, everybody. Child. Housekeeping, depending on where you are. If you are on Twitter, X, hit that heart. If you're on YouTube, hit that like button and consider to subscribing. Now, if you're on X too and you haven't subscribed to me over on YouTube, go ahead and do that and give me a heart, thumbs up as well. And those of you all that are on Twitch, you do what you do here. All right, people. How y'all feeling today? I am in a pretty good mood. Got most of all the things that I was supposed to do today done. And so I am here with you all today. We are here. Uh I don't even know what to call this. Is this um happy hip hop day? Happy uh battle day, happy whatever week, beef day, whatever we want to call it. So I've seen a lot of content creators have been starting since I think April 30th when Kendrick dropped Euphoria, and then every day, every time that another thing dropped, they would go over all those different things. And I think yesterday was a busy day for everybody. I wanted to just do it all in one little lump, little thing, kind of go over what's going on. And if you have been hiding under a rock, honey, you know that this time last year, those of you all that enjoy hip hop and R&B and all that other stuff, you all were fascinated and glued to to your YouTube channels because Kendrick and Drake were dropping stuff, and this whole beef started. And initially when it started, as we go back, we Drake was dropping push-ups, uh come on Kendrick, drop drop drop. Then he did the tailor-made freestyle, it drop drop drop, Kendrick drop. And then DJ Academics had on his channel, was counting the days until Kendrick dropped, and people thought he wasn't going to drop. I think it was 16 or 17 days later. Then he drops on April 4th, and he gives us Euphoria. And baby, it was off to the races then. I mean, just off to the races then. Let me do this first. So here's the copyright disclaimer, because I'm not going to be playing a whole lot of music or anything like that, but we will get some little tidbits or get little pieces of the song or anything like that. But I want to do my copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, which I'll do, comment, which I'll do, news reporting, which I'll do, and some teaching. I don't think I'll be doing any much teaching, but unless we go over some of the stuff. But here it is. Also, let me the views and opinions expressed in my videos represent my own thoughts, concerns, and analysis. I do not know these entities or persons personally, and my opinions are not statement of a fact. Where were y'all a year ago? What was y'all doing a year ago? Were y'all as glued? Because again, I was aware. I was aware of Kendrick. I knew some of the songs. I was aware of Drake, and I knew some of the songs. But I'm not the biggest fan. I do appreciate them for what you do, because Drake was one of those people that had the little catchy little things. Left foot, right foot. Anything other than that, I didn't know. If it was catchy. If it was a little catchy little tune like that, I knew what Drake put out there. Kendrick, I knew about. I think his Damn album. That was the album that generated that I listened to more than what is it? Good Kid and Mad City and The Pimp a Butterfly and all those other things. So both artists were cursory for me. I knew who they were. But I think J. Cole, I will be honest, I knew more about J. Cole. I listened to more about J. Cole than I did any of the other two of them. I was just more familiar with him. But anyway, child, this time last year, everything was set ablaze, set ablaze, set ablaze. You hear me? And so I just got the timeline, because your girl loves a good PowerPoint. And so I just put this up here just to kind of give us familiar about what dates and things dropped and everything like that. And for me, just going over and listening through this beef, I think it pretty much kind of started back in 2023 with this first person shooter song with Drake and J. Cole. And then we had Like That to come out behind that back in March of 2026. And then, then things started coming. Drake comes out with Push Ups and Tailor Made Freestyle. And then we heard nothing. And then Kendrick Lamar drops with Euphoria. Then the next thing you know, he's dropping with 616 in LA. Drake drops with Family Matters. 45 minutes later, Kendrick drops with Meet the Grams. And then the next day, which is today, May 4th, and May the 4th be with you for my Star Wars fans out there. May 4th, he dropped Not Like Us, and it just went to the races. I'm telling you, it went to the races. Then, Kendrick did the pop out. Then he got the Not Like Us video that was in July. Then got the Super Bowl announcement, and then we got Drake filing the petitions in November. Against UMG and Spotify. The next day, he files a petition against UMG and iHeartRadio, and then this year in January, he files the lawsuit against UMG, but he drops the petition findings for Spotify and iHeartRadio. So that's just a timeline of what's going on because, honey, where were y'all? Here we have the first person shooter, and I have a link to the lyrics, but I think this was the lyrics. These lyrics by J. Cole. I think these were the lyrics that kind of set Kendrick off. Now, y'all let me know. Were these the lyrics that set him off? It seems like these were the lyrics that set him off, particularly about love when they argue the hardest MC. Is it K. Dot? Is it Aubrey or me? We like the big three. We like the big three like we started the league, but right now I feel like Muhammad Ali. Now, don't know why J. Cole would put that little stuff out. And there's the little video. And like I said, I'm not going to really be playing any of the thing, but I do want you all to know where I'm getting all this stuff. I think that this is what started it. Personally, I think it's what started it. I don't know if Kendrick, if they had something to discuss in between there, but I will say I did see, was it DJ Head, him and Maul was Rory and Maul. They were going back and forth about that. I don't know. You all listen to that. I'm sorry. I couldn't listen to two people who said a whole bunch of stuff but didn't really say much. I guess I just don't like when people talk around in circles. Just say what you mean and mean what you say and stand firm in the words that you speak. But they were talking in too many circles for me. I think after the first 10 to 15 minutes, I was just bored. I know that there was several little tidbits that a lot of people got, but I just couldn't understand how you would sit between those two men who answer questions with questions, would say some things. They would say, I would hear a few things that I could understand, but once you start answering questions with questions, or you start asking just crazy questions, because DJ Head comes off the rip, why y'all say y'all from the street that y'all say y'all from? I don't understand it. I'm like, did y'all prepare questions? Could y'all have just prepared some questions before y'all got up there and started talking and jabbering like they were? But we got some tidbits. And then on DJ Head's show, his co-host had come out with some information. Now, I don't know how true any of this information is, but we'll get to it in just one moment. But I do want to get back to my little PowerPoint, y'all. So then in March, we have Kendrick drop his little stuff, and here are the lyrics that I think that kind of got people riled up. Like, oh, Kendrick done dropped a little thing, because people had this mindset that Kendrick wasn't. I would probably say more Drake fans got into the mindset that because Kendrick didn't come out and was on some kind of timeline, they figured because he had a good portion of time between his one album and the next album, they figured that he was going to be slow, or he wasn't going to come out. He wasn't going to challenge Drake, which was crazy to me, because when you think back in history and all the beef, those West Coast folks, they're not the people that you brawl with on thing. You think about Ice Cube, you think about Tupac. you don't I don't know why you thought that these people kind of invented, not they invented it, but they kind of pump the stamp on it that they're battle worn. They're not scared of y'all. And so I don't know what made the made people think that Kendrick wasn't going to come out and say anything. But anyway, as we continue, we had Drake come out with his push-ups and his tailor-made freestyle, and we knew that he did stuff like that, this back-to-back stuff, because he did it with Meek Mill. I don't remember if he did it with Pusha T. Y'all let me know in the comments. Did he do this with Pusha T? But he was baiting Kendrick to come out. Come on, Kendrick. He wanted you to come out. He wanted you to debate him. And I really do think that he didn't think he was going to come out. And if he did come out, he was going to give him that Family Matters, and that was going to be the end of it. But baby, Kendrick said, I see you. But anyway, in this area right here, so let's look at Drake's push-ups and tailor-made freestyle. DJ Head's co-host said that they had that she had heard that Drake and Kendrick had talked about it being a friendly fade. Now, everybody else thinks that they were about to squabble, they were about to fight. I don't think that they were going to do that. I think that they had agreed to go back and forth with each other, but there were some parameters or there were some rules that they had to abide by. And Kendrick, and from what she said, it sounded like Kendrick made it a thing. Hey, we can do this. We can squabble. We can make this a friendly back and forth. But there are some parameters that I don't want you to cross. Don't cross talking about my family in any way or form. And Drake, that's not Drake's modus operandi. Drake is going to talk about your family. He's done it with Meek Mill. He did it with Pusha T. So he may have agreed to it. But again, I think that, and this is just my opinion, I don't think that Drake thought that Kendrick was going to take it as far as he took it. Kendrick reminds me of one of those folks that if you go low, he goes to hell. And there's no pulling him back out, because once he jumps on you, he's not letting go. You know how when a rabid dog bites you, he just continues to get that grip and still bite you. That's what it seemed like to me. Like everybody underestimated, because Kendrick is I don't know what made them I don't know what they thought. Maybe because they think because he was short. Maybe they think because he was hood adjacent. Maybe they thought because of whatever. But with this rap stuff, with this hip hop stuff, Kendrick is like a scholar, a professor. He is really deep into this stuff. So I don't know why they would think that he wasn't going to battle. And I don't know what made Drake think that he was going to have the thing. Was it because he sold more? He's selling a lot of records. He's very popular, not only here in America, but across the world. Because again, he's been positioned in that way, and he's been positioned that way for a lot of years. Now, am I saying that Drake didn't have any talent? Absolutely not. I've heard him rap. I've heard him, and I think he does a very good job. No one is saying that he doesn't do a good job. But I think within this little battle, I think he really truly underestimated his opponent. I think he thought he was like, because you know how Meek Mill was like, he could do all of that not really gangster stuff, but he was just like, he was a little bit more hood, and he talked about that kind of stuff. But as far as him being a battle rapper, he really didn't do that. I don't think Meek Mill was in the battle rapping scene, but y'all let me know. And so, of course, when you're doing stuff like this and being very quick about putting things on wax, I don't think Meek Mill was as battle tested as he could. But also, it has always been rumored that Drake had ghostwriters. So if you've got a string of writers being able to write for you and get your song together, it is, and don't mishear me, it's really nothing to them to go into the booth and figure out how the cadence is supposed to go and all those different things. Even though I know that those things are something, but just in the midst of me trying to speak on this, it wouldn't be different for your cadence and things like that to be a little bit different to get that in. So here we go. Then Kendrick drops Euphoria. Now, out of all the songs, if I'm gonna be honest, on the songs that came out, if I was to rank them uh, in regards to Drake, I like Push Ups before Family Matters. I didn't like that tailor made freestyle. I didn't like it simply because I didn't like the fact that they used AI voice for Tupac. And I don't know what was going on with Snoop, why you needed to use an AI voice for Snoop. I just that kind of stuff, that AI stuff and all that other stuff, that just seems so disrespectful to me. And also too, it's that AI stuff is about to put a lot of people out of jobs. And also this AI stuff is about to be get people in trouble too, because I don't know if you all have followed on TikTok, there are several different pages now that are using AI simulated people to where even to the point where they look very real, and they're talking all kinds of stuff and talking about different things. And a lot of stuff, it's always they're making up stuff. Because I think I've said in another stream about this particular page is talking about crimes and things like that being committed by Black people that didn't happen, but because the way they talk, that these crimes are so plausible. But then when you go and you try to research what's going on, it seems fantastical, but it also seems plausible at the same time. And then when you go research this stuff, nothing, it doesn't exist anywhere. But if you're not like someone like me that's going to research and think about it, you're just going to mindlessly think that these are the things that are happening. And the reason why it caught my attention so much is because they were talking about older Black women committing crimes and all this other stuff. And I'm like, that don't even make any kind of sense. What is going on? And then when you go look for it, it doesn't matter. So this is the reason why if I'm ranking Drake's songs in this thing, that tailor-made freestyle is on the bottom, and it's even below the Heart Part 6 by Drake, because I thought that was like waving the red the white flag. But I think I like Push Ups, I like Family Matters, then the Heart Part 6, and then the tailor-made freestyle. That's my order for him as far as within this battle. When it comes to Kendrick, Euphoria is up there for me. I like the way that was put out. I like Euphoria. I like the build up coming from being very slow, and then the build up to I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk. That whole build up, I enjoyed that whole build up. And one of the things I think with Kendrick, which would have made, which I understood, it seems like he was following online about what everyone was saying. That's what it seemed like to me, because he did. Because once the 616 came out, and that song to me, as you go back and you look at it, it's very clear to see that was that what DJ Head's co-host said. That's where it seems like it rings true. It seems like he understood and he knew that there was going to be some stuff on Family Matters that was going to talk about his family. And so he was giving him an opportunity to edit. So he was giving him an opportunity to edit, but also to let him know that if you come out here and you do what I think you're about to do, if you go low, I'm going to hell. And I think that's what that 616 was for. And I think he did that. I think that was pretty much spur of the moment. And I think that's where that came up, where there was like, hey, there was a discussion about having a friendly little jab, and somebody on Drake's camp let somebody over in Kendrick's camp know that, hey, that's not what's going on. And also too, I also think that and this is just my mind going, I also think, with Drake suing UMG, I think that's what he really is trying to figure out more so than anyone. Who in his camp is telling people about what he's doing and all this other stuff? I think that that's a fact-finding mission that he's on in regards to UMG, because I think people in his camp have told him, no, it ain't me, it ain't me. And so he figures, hey, it's somebody who works for UMG that's saying anything, that came into the sessions, or I don't know. That's just my little humble opinion. But anyway, as I'm rating the songs, I like Euphoria, Meet the Grams, because I think that even if you got rid of the other two songs, I think Euphoria and Meet the Grams did exactly what it needed to do as far as punch if we're talking about Rock'em Sock'em Robots, kind of punch. I think Euphoria kind of punched Drake in the mouth, and I think that Meet the Gram was the knockout punch on that. But I like Euphoria. I like Meet the Grams, 616, and then Not Like Us. And separately they're all pretty good songs, but as I'm thinking about battle, I think Euphoria and Meet the Grams really did the thing. I think Not Like Us was invented or crafted because, again, I said that I think that Kendrick was listening and seeing what people were saying online, and a lot of people were talking about, because Family Matters had a nice little bop to it. They were saying, well, Kendrick doesn't make anything, uh uh what was the thing? If you're going to do a battle song or something, it's got to be something that I can dance to. It's something that I can go to the club and listen to. And, again, some of Drake's fans would push the goalpost, because I've never heard a diss record that you wanted to have out in the club and dance to. But I think he heard what they were saying. And so they got what they asked for with Not Like Us. Because, again, I think once he did Euphoria, and once he did Meet the Grams, I think that was a 1-2 punch. That was it. It was like, the jab and then the knockout punch with that. But everything else to me was extra. But I think 616 was just, he was talking to Drake, directly to Drake, as if, I know what's going on. I'm giving you an opportunity to edit. Let's see if you edit. But again, that's not what happened. Oh, let's see what we got. So we've got all those songs. I'm not gonna listen. So we've got 616 in LA. Hey, hey. So we got 616 in LA. Then we got Family Matters, and then we had Meet the Grams. Whew. Tough songs, tough song. Again, you have to give Drake for what he has. That Family Matters song, it was good. Now, the only thing I didn't like about the Family Matters song was the fact that he spent a lot of time talking to other folk. I wish he had broken that up and talked about those other people, pulled out another song and talked about those other people, and then kept it close, just talking about Kendrick. That's my wish. That's what I wish that he would have that he would have done. But now let me see. Does Zaddy, your guy, how you doing today? But that's what I wish he would have done, that he would have done that. But other than that, I didn't have any problems. But honey, when I heard him talking about when he made that little thing about Whitney and Dave Free, I already knew. I was scared for him. I was like, dog, why would Drake continue to do that? He know it didn't work with Pusha T. Why is he putting this out here? And then Meet the Grams dropped. And baby, that hearing that the first time and processing that, meet the Grams, that was very haunting. And like I said, Drake went low and Kendrick went to hell. Baby, I had just never heard anybody go that low. And I mean, he addressed everybody in the family. Now, I do understand and know that he did address baby girl, and we find out that there is no daughter. And according to Drake's camp, that they planted the information for him to get out. And again, that leads credence to what DJ Heads, what is her name? Gina, Gina. That leads credence to that there had to have been some conversations within these camps to be able to say, hey, you might want to take that out. Hey, you might want to do something different. And again, he didn't do that. That was his bad. That was his stuff. What about Nokia? Nokia came later. He just dropped Nokia. What was it, last month or the month before last? Last month. So, and I knew that he said he had it. He said that little girl didn't exist, and that's fine. Even if you take that whole verse out, it still was scathing, because he talked to not only to Drake's son, he talked to Drake's mama, he talked to Drake's dad, and if Drake had any siblings, I think Drake does have siblings. He probably would have talked to them. But it was just too scathing for me. I thought that that was too scathing. And then everybody was like, okay, everything seems like it's over. They were just waiting for it. Literally, we were just waiting for Drake to respond. That's what we were waiting for. So to last year, this time today, the only thing that we were waiting to hear was from Drake to respond. And I don't think anybody was prepared. And these are two words that I think in this thing that people are now putting out there, that it causes people to shake when you say Kendrick dropped. Kendrick dropped. Kendrick dropped. What do you mean Kendrick dropped? Why was Kendrick dropping? There, not like us was really, it wasn't necessary, but he did tell us he had at least 10 songs in stock. And so I was like, wait a minute. It's not even necessary, because Meet the Grams, to me, with Euphoria and Meet the Grams, that was the 1-2 punch. That was a knockout. I wasn't prepared. I wasn't prepared. And here's my little push the button, push the button. I think that this was on Drake's Instagram thing about him pushing the button, and this was Family Matters was the push the button song. Before I finish this, but y'all were aware that there was a documentary, so to speak, about this feud on Hulu. I wasn't aware of that, but it definitely was. And if you wanted to go back and listen to all the little things about Drake, and particularly with Drake within the lawsuits and everything like that, these are all the videos that I've done on that playlist. But anyway, we've done on this playlist. I don't know why I forgot to put. Let's go back. I forgot to put Not Like Us on here, but charge that to my head, not my heart. But Not Like Us dropped. And like I said, I think that Kendrick was listening to what people were saying out here in these streets, and people kept talking about, well, he doesn't have a bop, he doesn't have a bop, he doesn't have a bop, and then he dropped Not Like Us. Now, Not Like Us, Not Like Us is that I'm going to hell moment. He broke down his whole camp. He even broke down how Drake operates within hip hop. He broke down about his Atlanta stuff, all that PDF file stuff, and all of that stuff. I don't know nothing about it. However, it is clear that there is something going on in regards to that. Not necessarily that, and I will also say this, because that's one of those things where no one wants to be called a PDF file. However, I think within our community, we don't have the wording to talk about uh, um, that particular word deals with a certain level of how young you're dealing with, or have desires for children, and there's a certain age for that. It seems to me, and again, these are my opinions, these are not anything stated in fact, but he seems like from what people have been discussing about Drake, and that's where I'm going to go from. So all of it's alleged. Like I said, I don't know these people. I'm not even beginning to say anything, but I think from what people are alleging is that Drake is uh, uh, alleging that Drake is one of those folks that are skirts the bounds, or just rides the bounds of it's legal, or it could be legal. So like in certain states there's a legality of things, um as far as how what is the age of consent. And I think that he probably skirts in that line. You know how you have those people say, well, they're young, but it's legal. Those are the people that skirt there, and I think that he kind of skirts within that area. and that is not a PDF file. There's a whole nother name for that. Um, I believe that's HEBA file. HEBA file, I think is what it is. But everyone knows PDF file. Everyone talks about PDF. If you're underage, everybody is a PDF file. But that's what it sounds like to me because again, Drake has mentioned he mentioned in the Heart Part 6. I don't know why he called that girl's name. What's her name? 11 from Stranger Things. I don't know why he called her name to say that because no one mentioned her name in the battle, but he seems to call these names. And he did it again on Tailor Made Freestyle. He said, uh you you can use that little thing about the younger age or something like that. So yeah, who is Hamilton? I'm not violating. I'm just explaining my thoughts. Stop it, stop it, stop it. I'm just explaining my thoughts and explaining how I see the stuff. I'm not violating anybody. I'm not calling him anything because I don't have any information that anything like that. F1 racer. What is that? Is what is that? What is that? You're talking stuff I don't know or understand. Say what you mean and let me see it, and I'll figure out if that's what it is. But again, like I said, in regards to the battle into the thing, I I enjoyed it regardless if you I don't care who won, who you think won. If you believe Drake won or if you believe that Kendrick won, I don't care. Here's what I care about. The one thing that I did enjoy is that people got excited for hip hop again, whether you were on Drake's side or whether you think people are excited about hip hop again, because it seemed like probably in the past 5 or 6 years. Okay, thank you. People get excited. What people are more excited. So yes, so you'll have because hip hop has is so vast and has so many subgenres. And I think in the past 5 or 6 years, we're hearing just this one type of hip hop. So you can have the hip hop for the conscious people, for you can have hip hop for the people that love double and triple entendres, who like to go through and think. And then you can also have hip hop for those who want to dance, who don't want to think or anything like that. They want to dance and have a little step or two or anything like that. Or you can have the hip hop for the mindless people that don't really talk about anything. They're just besides their cars, how many cars they got, their belts, and all their materialistic stuff. I think that there's a place for all of that. But I think when you look at even with Billboard or anything like that, there was only like one particular subgenre that they were aiming at. And now you're starting to see that there are a lot of people in a lot of different ages. I understand that hip hop is 50 years old. You have to understand that with it being that old, you have people from different age ranges, 8 to 80, dumb, cripple, and crazy, that enjoy hip hop. And there's just certain subgenres, and they all should be represented. And I think that you can make money for representing all of those little genres of hip hop. But just like with anything, you got to see where they are, and YouTube is a wonderful medium that a lot of people can put their music and stuff out there that we can get it. But again, just like with anything, just like with Spotify, just like with iHeartRadio, just like with any of these anything, it's all about the algorithm, where they fall up and down in the algorithm. But it is nice to know that Kendrick and Drake have revitalized people's fervor and love for hip hop. Now, like I said, everybody has their little camp. You have that whole camp that loves Drake. Drake can do no wrong. No problem with that. No problem with that. Uh, Same thing with Kendrick. Everyone loves the fact that Kendrick comes out here. He is a rapper. He is a lyricist. He's all those different things. No problem with that. Now, there's one person that I have not neglected, haven't mentioned, and that's that old J. Cole. J. Cole jumped out there and then, put his toe in the water and thought it was either too cold or too hot, then jumped back. Now, earlier, I just thought, I was thinking maybe somebody talked to him and said something like, you need to stop or anything like that. But then I'm starting to look back. When you start looking back, that's partly his personality. Now, he can't ever come out here talking about he's the hardest MC, he's such an MC, and he's going to do, he can't come out here doing all this other stuff because, again, there was really no need for him to have jumped out there at all. I don't understand what made him jump in the first place. Even though I feel like his verse on his verse was the one that started it all. First person shooter. I think his verse was the one that started all this mess. But again, I don't know why he jumped out there, but fine, because I assumed, you remember when Kendrick said he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 5? I believe because he dropped 4. So that means that the other 6, I believe at least 3 of them was ripe and juicy for dissing J. Cole. And he probably was he probably I don't want to say scared, but I don't know if he was mentally prepared for it, is what I'm going to say. And I'm going to leave it at that. But again, what were your great moments of this battle? What were your great moments? What were your highs? What were your, again, like I said, I like Push Ups by Drake. I thought that I like that. Drop and Give Me 50. I love that one. For Kendrick, Euphoria, and then Meet the Grams, Pop Out. Push-Ups and Tailor Made Free, not Tailor Made, that was one that I couldn't stand. Push-Ups and Family Matters for Drake, I thought were really good things. But the only thing I didn't like about Family Matters was the fact that he was addressing other folks. The only thing that I didn't like about Meet the Grams, it was too haunting for me. It was necessary, but that beat was very haunting to me. When you hear that ding ding, oh, that was too haunting to me. But other than that, that's all I got. So tell me, what did y'all think about the beef? What were the songs that you liked, or what was the song that you disliked? Now, I will tell you, with Drake, I am disappointed that he came out with the lawsuit. I can understand why he did it, but I do think that there could have been some conversations. I don't know if they were or not. I don't know exactly how this lawsuit's going to go, but what I do see is that he's trying to steer it as if Not Like Us exists in this vacuum without explaining to the courts, because I think UMG had to do that with their rebuttal to Drake. They had to mention the fact that he was in the middle of a rap battle. He went low, they were going to hell. And so I'm curious about what's going to happen, because again, I think that this is going to set a bad precedence for hip hop, because now what's going to happen is now y'all are going to be censored in what you can rap about and what you can't rap about. And I don't think that your predecessors, like the 2 Live crew and all these people that had to fight for freedom of speech for hip hop, now that it's circling back to where you all are not going to be able to say certain things, and that's going to cut at least 3/4 of y'all out of hip hop just like that. But anyway, we'll see what's going on. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video if you care. Is the you go low, and and then other folks will go to hell. And see, the thing about that is some people don't come out; they stay there, and that's the way it feels like with because Kendrick has come out. He's had a stellar year. He's won Grammys. He's won all of this on the back of that beef. He's had a stellar year. But it's my understanding too that this is not an anomaly for Kendrick. He's won about 10 to 15 Grammys. If my understanding, he's got the hip hop album that's been on the charts consecutively the longest. I think that's Good Kid, Bad City, or is it To Pimp a Butterfly? It's one of those two that's been on the charts consecutively for about over 500 weeks or something like that. So not debating his skills, or he's like a one hit wonder or anything like that. Not. Drake has been on the charts consistently for the past 10 to 15 years. So you're not dealing with people who have not been in this rap game for a very long period of time. I think they've both pretty much been in the rap game for the period of time. My only criticism about Drake is that the lawsuits, really, that don't make any sense. You were in the middle of a hip hop battle. You were in the middle of a hip hop battle. You've done cease and desist on other records. Why are you not doing a cease and desist on this one? And then you look hypocritical because you were signing petitions about Young Thug and all of them about not using hip hop lyrics in court. And then here we are, you're using hip hop lyrics in court because you lost the battle. I hear you saying that UMG promoted Kendrick at his expense, saying that he was in the middle of negotiations and things like that. And my only rebuttal is this: if the negotiation process was so important to you, and it was that important, and you were unaware of how your opponent was going to handle you baiting them, because you can't control somebody's reaction to you. If that negotiation was so important to you, and you had deals on the line that were so important to you, same question that I asked when you did that back and forth with Pusha T. You're saying that Pusha T messed up your rollout with Adidas, with your Adidas line, by letting everybody know that you had a child. If this is so important to you, why would you then commit to get in the middle of a rap? Wrap up your deal first. Wrap up your deal first. But I think you thought that this would put you here. Let's say that you were here, you thought it may make you go over the top, because you've he's the conscious rapper. We gonna really talk about Kendrick and da da da. Listen, he's short and got a size 7 shoe and da da da. I'm gonna do all of this, and everybody was gonna be behind you. You have your fan base. You have a big fan base, Drake. So they were gonna be behind you anyway. Put out some music, put out some more stuff, and make sure that that's selling. Make sure you're promoting it and all this other stuff. But that's not what happened. You jumped out here and you got in this beef, and now you're trying to blame that on why your deal is not going through, which I don't even understand. And now you're out here, what? You're a content creator now because you're not releasing any music. You had a tour. You abandoned at the last leg of the tour. I don't know why you did that. Some folks said because it wasn't selling. Other folks said that you just, your heart wasn't in it. Either way, it, I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to stop talking because that's all I have, y'all. All right, people. We do this every week. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Achievements on Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video if you care. Y'all, please tell a friend, tell a kin, tell a coworker, tell that heifer that you can't stand that I'm over here making these videos. Again, if you're on Twitter X, hit that heart. If you're on YouTube, hit that like button and subscribe. And whatever it is you do over there on Twitch, just do it. All right? All right, people. Happy Hip Hop Day. Happy Battle Day. I don't know what we call this day, but I think, again, this whole year in hip hop has been one of the ages. I don't think anybody in any generation prior to this can say that a battle was so in depth that it caused for one of the combatants to sue. All right, people. And as always, bye-bye.